Hey everybody, Fox here. Just doing a quick vlog with this one right here.
Hi.
What are you doing in England?
It's sort of spontaneous actually. I missed a flight from Italy to Iceland and here I am.
Was this a planned thing?
No.
I see. So we were just at TGEU, which is Transgender European Union. It was the sixth council that they have. It kind of happens like once every 2 years.
Yep.
And you were here representing
Trans Iceland.
Trans Iceland. And I was there making some films which I've yet to edit, but that should kind of give an overview of the past 10 years, all the way up to like looking towards the future of this amazing organisation. Got my crazy dog running around behind us. Something really sad just happened. It was like super sad.
Yeah.
So it was we just stepped outside to do a vlog, and there was a cat that had been hit by a car, and there were people standing around it, and I had to put it in a box right now.
It's kind of sad.
It was all just soft and limp, and yeah.
The person who drove over the cat just...
They just drove off. The person just drove off.
Yeah.
Not very cool at all, and yeah, so that was a downer, and I feel really sad. There was no collar, there was nothing on the cat, so we're gonna have to take it to the vets and get it scanned or something. We're gonna do a quick vlog because you're off tomorrow back to Iceland.
Yes.
And that's gonna be very sad for me because we've known each other for a week, which is just like kind of ridiculous, but like we have like a massive connection, and it's just been really nice.
Yeah. Super nice.
Yeah. So we were going to talk a little bit because we were having a discussion today, and we thought it would be good to share that with everyone about the fact that we're both kind of identify as non-binary, but we're kind of from opposite ends of the spectrum as such, and kind of have met in the middle, and have quite a few shared experiences and shared views on the world as well. And I'm going to say this now as well. Ugla's TED Talk came out yesterday, and we're going to leave a link in the box below because it's really fantastic. And I really hope it ends up on the actual TED page, because it's a conversation. Well, it's such a good talk, and I think that it's really something that people should look into. So I hope you like it as well. Do check it out and let us know what you think of it.
Fox forced me to watch it yesterday. It was quite cringeworthy for me.
I did. You didn't want to see it at all.
No.
I never want to see the stuff I do either, but I thought it was fabulous, like so good.
Well, we did talk a bit about, today we were talking a bit about how people can be queer and can express in any different ways, and people can't really assume, because people usually assume that non-binary people are androgynous, or that you can automatically see that they're queer, or they somehow go against all expression.
Yeah, that's very true, whereas you and I kind of, our identities are very real, very important, and yet somehow they can seem erased. Without having a conversation with someone, they might not know that I'm queer, for example. I had that happen recently where I went to an event that was like a kind of like a retreat, and not a resort kind of thing, but like kind of a spiritual kind of retreat. And at the end of it, I was giving a girl a lift home back to Brighton, and I was like talking about queer stuff, and they were like, "What? Do you have an interest in queer things?" And I was like, "I'm trans, Not that being trans means you're queer as well." So, but
it can.
Yeah. I just thought it was really obvious that I was queer, but I suppose it's not, right?
No, I guess it's supposed people have certain stereotypes about queer people or trans people, and when you don't meet those standards, people just don't assume.
Non-binary, I do think that the discussions that are going on at the moment about non-binary issues are really important, and it's the first time in the past. I mean, it started a couple of years ago, but it's really a very new conversation, new discussion. I know that people before that, like I identified as genderqueer before I had non-binary as a term, and I think genderqueer still suits too, because it kind of adds the queer and the non-binary together.
It just depends on, I guess, whether you want to use the genderqueer or non-binary. I mean, it's a whole spectrum of things. There's a lot of things under the non-binary and genderqueer umbrella, sort of. So it's like an umbrella under another umbrella under another umbrella.
A many-layered thing.
Yeah.
And like we were both talking about how we were socialized differently as kids. We were kind of, I mean, I was socialized as female, and yet we have so much in common. It's just I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of your sense of self always sort of prevails. well, no matter how you're socialized, and even though you are socialized in a different way, you take in the socialization around you. So, for example, people often say that, for example, trans women or trans feminine people don't experience misogyny,
Right.
but they do from a very early age because they're also taking in the society around them.
Yeah.
And many of them are very feminine or don't fit the standards from early on.
Yeah.
So a lot of people experience it even before they come out, and especially after they come out.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And I mean, for me, I love the term queer because I feel like it just encompasses so much. I like that umbrella term, and I like that people who, maybe even in like kind of heteronormative relationships might still identify as queer, and it's a really valid identity. And we were kind of talking, because we were like walking around today, and I mean, perhaps on the surface, we just look like a heteronormative couple, which is like kind of hilarious in some ways, because my dog's running around like a crazy thing right now. It's very sweet.
Yeah, we were just talking about how if people would see us, they would just assume we were this straight cis couple who was walking around being all straight.
Why are you so beautiful?
Are you gonna have that in the vlog?
At the TGEU conference, there was a lot of discussions around what next and how to support other certain aspects of our trans community, I guess, our global trans community.
Yeah.
And obviously you can imagine it's important to support emerging countries that need to have policies in place and need to set up support groups and have all that, but also it was non-binary people.
Yeah, we talked a lot about trans refugees, for example, and sex workers.
Yeah.
Those sort of the groups that came up the most. There was also discussion about elderly trans people, because now the sort of generation that came out first is turning pretty old, actually.
Yeah.
And there's no real frame around how to help these people out to deal with them in their old age, because it's different.
It is different. We have different needs, and I hate the idea of because I know a lot of neglect happens for older people generally, but if someone can't deal with trans issues, or maybe they're transphobic and they're a care worker, then you're not going to get the care that you need, and you can have a really deteriorated quality of life. So I would love for us to be able to set in place some sort of LGBT care home, and I'm sure that probably exists somewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's at least one in Denmark. I'm not sure if it's trans, but it's at least for gays and lesbians.
That sounds good.
We had a discussion about it in Iceland, actually.
Yeah.
And I was asked for an interview where I said it, would be good to look into such things, and then came a news article where it said that I wanted it now, or something. It was quite embarrassing, because it was just like this casual interview. But
wow.
But it's definitely a conversation that needs to go, because immediately when this news article came out, people were like, "Oh, you shouldn't. We don't need a specific home for that. You're always trying to,
Be
move
separate.
away from society and separating yourself."
But we're not necessarily. It's just about looking after people's individual needs and acknowledging that we do have those needs as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's different sort of homes for different sort of people with different needs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, you need to specialize care based on people's needs.
And if we don't sort it out for this generation, we failed in many ways. And what about us when we get old? I'm going to be old soon, so older.
Older.
I'll be older soon, and I might need care in a home. And I'd like to find a place where, I don't know. And there's also fear about people regressing back to a time. I know that I talked to my friend Alice about this, and she was saying that she feared that if she ended up having Alzheimer's, for example, and losing her mind, she might be brought back to a time when she was quite distressed in life. And I don't really know how that would play out, because, logistically, I guess, you if you've already transitioned, or you've gone through your medical transition, or most of it, then you're going to look in the mirror and pretty much see who you really are. So I wonder whether that would be confusing, or whether that would be comforting in a way. Lots of questions.
Because there's a lot of trauma that trans people often go through. So, especially with Alzheimer's, if you forget or you don't know, or you relive things again.
Yeah, and for depending on, particularly for this older generation that are getting are aging, they perhaps had a more difficult time than us in many ways. And I'm thinking about people like Trampard that I filmed, who I'll leave a link in the box below, who had a horrific childhood and is still scarred by it now. We're talking about electroshock, we're talking about mental hospitals and things like that. And yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone's protected, right from young to old.
Yeah.
And we have so many needs, to be considered. But it is exciting times. And just flitting back to the non-binary stuff as well, I think that the coolest thing I heard recently was that new schools are being built with gender-neutral toilets, and I think that's really cool.
It's very cool. There was recently in Iceland, actually, there was a school that got education from the National Queer Organization in Iceland, and they decided, because there was a trans kid in their school, that they would make everything gender-neutral in their school, and it was all over the news actually. And then
was it positive news?
It was very positive, yeah. And then there was a news article with 4 trans kids, all under 15, who were talking about being trans and in their schools, and it was very, very positive and very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really cool interview article.
So yeah, I mean, really positive times, but obviously there's a lot more work left to do, and it's just a continued conversation. We were also talking about different levels of being out or different levels of being active, and and I was explaining that even if you are stealth, there's still many ways to kind of contribute to this conversation. Whether it's
definitely.
Writing, blogging.
I mean, you can be very anonymous online, for example, but then it's also just about sharing stuff or talking about it if it comes up, and it's not about you don't have to be an activist going abroad every month to an event to be an activist. I mean, there's so many different ways of doing activism, both in art and science and culture, and there's so many different ways.
Yeah, activism starts at home and pans out to a global scale.
Just to find your own thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it'll be good to chat with you more in the future, but I guess we'll wrap it up for now. Hope everyone's enjoying the sunshine. I know that we have been. It's been good.
It's very good. There's like a heat wave here right now.
Yeah, well, we went from one heat wave to another, so it's cool. It's slightly cooler here, but not complaining. Alright, well, we'll say goodbye then. Thanks a lot, everyone. Laters.